Lights, feasting and festivities. Wishing you all a very happy Diwali. From India to Sri Lanka to Nepal and Pakistan, the Festival of Lights transcends, uniting the subcontinent like little else. Hello and welcome. I'm Shivan Charna and this is Inside South Asia. Beyond the festivities around Diwali, there can be no ignoring air pollution levels that have hit new highs over northern India in successive years. Crop residue burning, vehicular pollution, firecracker smoke. The smog each year has the region reeling. It's assumed proportions of an annual crisis that threatens all of South Asia now. Here's more.
Pierce through the layers of smog. Focus on the treasure beyond. Arguably India's biggest pride and treasure, the iconic Taj Mahal in Agra is shrouded in smog most mornings these days. AQI, PM 2.5, carbon monoxide levels rise intermittently to dangerous levels. The pain is part of life now for the locals. For the tourists from afar, it takes precedence over the wonder they came to see.
Yeah, Taj Mahal के अंदर बहुत खूबसूरत है ताज महल.
Taj Mahal is very pretty, but the only problem here is the air pollution. I have read that industries were removed. Still, if there is pollution, then something needs to be done.
ये पढ़ा भी है कि यहाँ पर इंडस्ट्रीज को हटाया गया था, काफी कुछ किया गया था इसके लिए जिससे कि यहाँ पर फॉग नहीं हो.
Large parts of North India feel it. A toxic mix of crop residue burning and vehicular smoke and rampant construction made worse by the geography. The cold air is denser and moves slower than warm air, they tell you, so it traps the air pollution and doesn't whisk it away. For the capital, air pollution and all the health issues that emerge around it has become an annual October-November Diwali ordeal. AQI levels climb to 7 and 8 times the safe mark. Breathing issues turn commonplace.
There is so much pollution in Delhi that we cannot even breathe properly. I have been ill for 4 days due to pollution. There is breathlessness and continuous coughing.
This is an air cleaning sprinkler in Delhi that becomes active in pollution season each year. Not that there's any long-term solution in sight. Rampaging politics around air pollution, the states and parties to blame, wars over right and wrong policies have ensured that the public suffers on each year. The politics even extends to the religion issue, with the blame on firecrackers given a religious dimension. Is a solution even possible?
I think, what's been happening for years is a very, very dishonest and lazy governance when it comes to issues of air pollution. Right now, again, you'll see politics taking over. We'll only see bickering and blaming each other. Central government will actually blame the Delhi government. Delhi government will blame the respective states and the central government. I think it's very, very important that rather than actually depending on the courts alone to really govern Delhi's air, or really only depending on blaming each other, there needs to be a collaborative, comprehensive, long-term planning and execution of air pollution. You need to also understand that this is not just a state's problem. It's a regional problem. It's an airshed problem of almost the entire North India. And therefore, we will have to have a regional solution, an airshed solution to this crisis.
The air pollution issue remains among the least addressed in all of South Asia, pushed into the background in the name of development needs. Given the rising threat levels, there's a realization that big changes are needed. A recent World Bank report suggests 1. Coordinated policy implementation and cooperation between countries of the region to mitigate the impact of air pollution. 2. Expansion into eco-friendly sectors, particularly small manufacturing, waste management and agriculture. And 3, fine-tuning economic incentives to enable private sector solutions, addressing distributional impacts and exploiting synergies with climate change policies. The stakes are huge. Alongside factors of climate change, air pollution threatens to reduce big progress leaps to little or nothing.
Pakistan has started a fresh nationwide campaign to vaccinate some 45 million children from polio after a surge in new cases. Now, it's the third such drive this year, with previous efforts abandoned due to attacks on health workers. Pakistan is one of only 2 nations where polio has not been eradicated, and it continues to fight an uphill battle.
When it comes to the welfare drive in Pakistan's interiors, it becomes more about security and protection of health workers. Most families of target children are only too willing. But as in the past, there's always the threat of fanatics opposing vaccination due to unfounded religious notions. Past drives have had to be abandoned because of often deadly attacks.
We try to convince people who oppose polio vaccination for religious reasons. If they are not convinced, we involve religious leaders in the area. They mostly convince people successfully. And for sick children, we bring doctors to treat them before vaccination. We always try our best to cover things smoothly.
A vaccination team sets out in Pakistan's Peshawar, accompanied by armed police. Social welfare and high security often need to go hand in hand in Pakistan's scheme of things. But they have a crucial part to play given the continuing challenge against the deadly virus. Pakistan is one of only 2 countries besides Afghanistan where polio is still categorized as an endemic viral infection. There's been a spike in cases this year to 41 from 6 reported in 2023. This in part was due to nearly 1 million children missing their vaccinations. Attacks on polio workers have also increased. 27 attacks have been reported in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province alone. All credit to those who push on despite huge odds.
Polio vaccination campaign is happening right now in the area. In Hasan Khel, we have extra security arrangements because Hasan Khel includes some of the villages which are risky as far as security is concerned. That's why we have deployed some additional security personnel.
Already, reports have come in of attacks on health workers, at least 2 cases. They say a police officer has also been killed. 2 attackers and their local facilitator were gunned down. But the teams are pushing on with the drive. It's a tough road.
Bangladesh GDP growth has slipped a full 50% in the April to June quarter year on year, meaning it's down to 3.91% from 6.88 a year ago. And the World Bank forecasts that things are not getting better soon. The state of the economy has turned into one of the new dispensation's biggest challenges now. Up next is a picture of economic hardship that threatens to throw promises of revival firmly off the rails.
Businessman like Uzzaman owns a small auto repair shop. A successful enterprise initially, it's now run into bad times. So much so that it does not even give back enough to meet its family's essential needs. Zaman has taken up a part-time job as a cab driver with a car rental firm.
I'm struggling on every step to meet the needs of my family despite working 2 jobs at a time. As you can see, my shop doesn't have many goods for sale because I can't afford to stock up the racks due to inflation. It is either my family or the shop. I even withdrew my bonds in the bank to spend on my family's needs.
Zaman is one of millions in Bangladesh coming to terms with changed fortunes. Rising cost of living in the last 2.5 years has changed life's paradigms for many. The political upheaval on the 5th of August had raised hopes. After the ouster of Sheikh Hasina, Mohammad Yunus promised big economic changes. Delivery remains a far cry, at least so far. Fact is, little has changed. Inflation numbers continue to climb, making ends meet gets more and more difficult almost each week.
I've earned around $16 today. After setting aside for all my expenses, I will have around $6 in my pocket. So I'm going to the market with that money. I have some $2.25 left in my hand. Almost $5 are spent on the vegetables.
General inflation showed a minor dip in September, but food inflation remains stubbornly high, exceeding 12%. The interim government has sought $5 billion in financial aid from international lenders to stabilize its dwindling foreign exchange reserves and revive the economy, which was one of the fastest growing in the world just a few years ago. Beyond economy management shortcomings, the recent flash floods in which harvests were ruined hit hard. Food supply chains have been disrupted. Officials also blame the stockpile syndicates which engage in hoarding and market manipulation.
Any syndicate would be broken by us. Because then only analyzing the market situation, we can detect them, we can locate their position, their status, and we will intervene there. If necessary, we will use our legal instruments that has been given by the law.
Reportedly, new extortion networks have also emerged with the August political changeover, further destabilizing the market. Nearly 3 months into the new government, big challenges persist. Reforms to restore economic stability and tame inflation have turned into big asks. As against the Hasina regime, public anger is on the rise again. Is Bangladesh moving towards a snapping point?
A few weeks ago, we showed you the story of how a Nepali teenager, 18-year-old Nima Rinji Sherpa, became the youngest person ever to scale all 14 of the world's highest peaks. Born into an illustrious Sherpa family, the 12th grader, who began climbing at the age of 16, achieved this extraordinary, superhuman feat on the 9th of October by reaching the peak of Mount Shishapangma in Tibet. But not the one to rest on his laurels, Nima now plans to use his supreme skill to benefit the Himalayan nation's Sherpa community and bring recognition to them as elite, world-class athletes. Our next report brings you the details.
Renowned world over for their skills as elite mountaineers, the Sherpas are an ethnic group living primarily in the vicinity of the world's highest peak, the Mount Everest. Their knowledge of Himalayan terrain and invaluable ability to fix ropes and ladders, carry loads, cook, and guide foreign climbers have made them much sought-after guides for the world's most treacherous climbs. Nima Rinji Sherpa was born into this legacy. The 18-year-old has already surpassed the superhuman feats of his relatives, including his father and uncles. But it has not been a journey without its share of challenges.
Biggest challenge I think is my physicality, because I'm still in my teenage and my body is still growing, so my lungs, my heart, my muscles are not as strong as it should be, People do this kind of stuff at their prime age, but I'm doing it in my teenage. So my muscles, sometimes it gets a lot of cramps, because I push myself so much and my muscles get cramps. I have some problem with heart, some problem with lungs, because I'm still in such a fragile age, my body's not developed. And it's just that I'm mentally so strong that I'm able to push myself, with all these problems.
Despite the reputation of being the backbone of arduous mountain expeditions, the Sherpas have for long been written out of history and headlines. They rarely get the kind of recognition or lucrative sponsorship deals, or even safety training the way Western climbers do. On completion of the rare feat of scaling all 14 peaks exceeding 8,000 feet in the last 2 years, Nima felt a profound connection to the previous generation of unsung Sherpas.
Now I have that legacy and the support, in which I want to use not just in climbing, but also to the community-wise. So that means leveling the way the Sherpa climbs. So my family already helps a lot of people to guide, and they'll have employees like 3,000 to 5,000 people. So that's their way of contributing to the community. But what I want to do personally is I want to help bring diversity into climbing. So I want to bring more athletes into Sherpa. No Sherpa we have not seen being sponsored by major big brands, So I want to be one of the first guys to be sponsored and a big face of a very big brand, so that globally there is the idea that Sherpa are also like elite athletes, not just guide.
These days, Nima is pushing the narrative of Sherpas as elite athletes and not just guides who are on an equal footing with Western climbers. He plans to be the voice of his community to get them the recognition they deserve. Plans are also afoot to build contacts with donor agencies, mobilize funds, and support facilities such as schools, hospitals, and other activities to benefit the mountain community. A mountaineer's life is rife with risks. One snap, one mistake could end up being the last. For people working in this high-risk profession, the least the world could do is give them the recognition they deserve.
Alongside the festivities around Diwali, there's been plenty of news events around South Asia. From a shocking accident in a fireworks unit in India's Kerala state to Pakistan knocking on China's doors for economic help. Up next, we bring you some stories that made headlines this week in our Inside South Asia wrap.
More than 150 people were injured in a fireworks accident during a temple festival in Kerala's Kasaragod. The explosion took place around Monday midnight when a fireworks storage facility near Veerarkavu temple caught fire. Theyyam, a folk dance festival, involves performers carrying flaming torches. Shocking visuals from the spot showed crackers triggering a massive fire and a cloud of smoke as people gathered on the temple premises ran to safety. There was barely any distance between the area where crackers were burst and where they were stored. Reports say that more than 1,500 people attended the Theyyam performance at the Anjutambalam Veerarkavu temple in Kasaragod district in North Kerala during the incident. At least 3 people, including the temple chief, were arrested in connection with the mishap.
India's Home Minister Amit Shah inaugurated a newly constructed passenger terminal and cargo gate at the India-Bangladesh land border crossing in West Bengal's North 24 Parganas district. The crossing at Petropol is one of the most vital land border crossings between the two countries, both in terms of trade and passenger movement. It is also the largest land port in South Asia. The passenger terminal is expected to enhance regional infrastructure with a handling capacity of 20,000 passengers per day and housing immigration, customs and security services under one roof.
Cash-strapped Pakistan has requested a supplementary loan of $1.4 billion from China. The announcement was made after Finance Minister Mohammad Aurangzeb met China's Vice Minister of Finance Liao Min on the sidelines of the annual meetings of the IMF and the World Bank in Washington and requested the Chinese side to raise the limits under the currency swap agreement. As stated by the Ministry of Finance, Pakistan has already fully utilized the existing fund of $4.3 billion Chinese trade facility for debt repayment and is now seeking to raise this limit by an additional $1.4 billion. This is not the first time Pakistan has requested an increased debt limit. However, Beijing has declined all such past requests. Notably, this request follows closely behind China's extension of the current $4.3 billion facility for an additional 3 years.
The former palace of ex-Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina will be converted into a museum to commemorate the revolution that ousted her. Before Hasina's downfall, more than 700 people were killed during a brutal police crackdown. As she fled, thousands stormed her former residence, the Gana Bhavan Palace, which the government labelled a symbol of repression. The walls of the palace that was looted and damaged in the chaos following Hasina's escape are covered with graffiti condemning her fallen regime. Hasina's overthrow led to at least 2 days of chaos, during which a museum at the home of her father, Bangladesh's first Prime Minister Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, was looted. According to officials, construction will begin by December.
Pakistan's Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar on Tuesday announced breakthrough arrests tied to recent attacks on Chinese nationals, pledging unwavering protection for the citizens of the country's all-weather friend. Dar's statement came at a conference by the Pakistan-China Institute titled China at 75, A Journey of Progress, Transformation and Global Leadership, where he underscored Pakistan's commitment to security amid rising incidents targeting Chinese citizens within its borders. Chinese nationals were targeted twice in the past 6 months, first in March and then again in October, just 10 days before the visit of the Chinese premier to Pakistan. At the same event, Chinese envoy Jiang Saidong lashed out at Pakistan's government and said that the attacks were unacceptable. He requested the government should launch a crackdown against all anti-China terrorist groups.
That's all we have in our show today. But before we go, here is a heartwarming tribute to a canine warrior, Phantom. A 4.5-year-old Belgian Malinois laid down his life while tracking and containing heavily armed terrorists during a fierce encounter in Battal area of Jammu region. Commissioned into the army in 2022, Phantom is the second dog to die in the line of duty since last year. As we wrap up, here is honouring the supreme sacrifice of the four-legged hero. Thank you for watching Inside South Asia. I'm Shivan Channa, and we will be back with you next week.
The US race to power, marked by high-octane campaign rallies, life-threatening encounters, game-changing presidential debates, the color and the drama, the key defining moments, deep insights and informed analysis. Watch continuous coverage of the US presidential elections 2024 on WION World is One.
WION brings you a special business talk show where we bring forth the stories of business leaders.
From breakthrough technologies to visionary leadership, we will unlock the trends, the tactics, and dive into the minds of the industry's most influential leaders.
WION brings you this special series to uncover what drives them in a candid talk show, WION Business Masters.
This week on the West Asia Post, Israel and Iran are trading bombs. While Israel says it attacked Tehran's means of producing missiles, the Islamic Republic claims its missile-producing facilities are still intact. In Lebanon, Israeli army pounds the historic city of Baalbek. And Hezbollah's new chief vows to continue with the resistance war plan. Also on the show, we decode why Israel has moved to ban UNRWA and how this decision will impact Palestinians in the war-torn Gaza.
Watch the West Asia Post with me, Radi Francis, only on WION. World is One. The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
As people across the world celebrate the Festival of Lights, we get you a list of films you can watch this Diwali. Welcome the spooky season with our hand-picked movies. And find out some rare facts about Bollywood's Badshah, Shah Rukh Khan. All this and much more with me, Isha Hanspal, at these times only on WION E-Club.
The stress of our world can take a toll on our physical and emotional health. Here, in New York's Catskill Mountains, lies a luxurious place of healing called WION Wellness Center. The WION Wellness Center provides 500,000 square feet of natural methods to manage diabetes, hypertension, chronic pain, obesity, depression, anxiety, and other conditions. We use the traditions of centuries-old natural science from India, yoga, Ayurveda, acupuncture, and naturopathy in personalized programs that help you take charge of your own health. A minimum 5-day stay is recommended for best results. Book now at yo1.com.
This week on Tech It Out, we tell you about common online scams. We share with you the latest developments from the world of robotics and find out how a new cutting-edge solution can help farmers in weed control. This and more on WION World is One at these times.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is One.